Have you ever wondered if one simple habit that takes less than 10 minutes could dramatically change what happens to your blood sugar after a meal? It may sound too good to be true, but growing scientific evidence suggests that a small change in your routine immediately after eating can have a surprisingly powerful effect on how your body handles glucose. The most remarkable part is that this habit doesn't require expensive equipment, strict diets, or medication for most healthy people. It's something many of us are physically capable of doing today. I'm Dr. Richard Ben, and welcome to Secrets of Health. My goal is to help you understand what modern medical research tells us about protecting your long-term health in ways that are practical, realistic, and supported by evidence. Every recommendation we discuss on this channel is based on established scientific knowledge whenever possible, while also recognizing that medical research continues to evolve. My hope is that by the end of today's discussion, you'll understand not only what this simple habit is, but why it works inside your body. Blood sugar is one of the most misunderstood aspects of human health. Many people assume it's only something individuals with diabetes need to think about. But the truth is, every single one of us experiences changes in blood sugar throughout the day. Every meal containing carbohydrates, from a bowl of oatmeal to a sandwich, a plate of rice, or even fresh fruit, causes glucose to enter the bloodstream. That is completely normal. In fact, glucose is one of the body's primary sources of energy. The real question isn't whether your blood sugar rises, it's how high it rises, how long it stays elevated, and how efficiently your body brings it back under control. Organizations such as the World Health Organization, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the National Institutes of Health consistently emphasize the importance of maintaining healthy blood sugar regulation because it influences far more than diabetes risk. Blood sugar affects energy levels, brain function, cardiovascular health, and, over many years, may influence the health of your eyes, kidneys, nerves, and blood vessels. But here's what most people don't realize. Your body has an incredibly sophisticated system for managing blood sugar. Think of it as an intelligent traffic control network. After you eat, your digestive system breaks food into smaller molecules. Carbohydrates become glucose, which enters your bloodstream and travels throughout your body. As glucose levels begin to rise, your pancreas senses the change almost immediately. Specialized cells release insulin, a hormone that acts like a key. Insulin unlocks the doors of muscle cells, liver cells, and fat cells, allowing glucose to move from the bloodstream into tissues where it can either be used for immediate energy or stored for later use. When this system works efficiently, blood sugar rises gradually, peaks at a healthy level, and then returns toward normal over the next several hours. However, modern lifestyles often interfere with this finely tuned process. Imagine finishing a large lunch and then immediately sitting in front of a computer for several hours. Your muscles, which are among the largest users of glucose in the body, suddenly become almost completely inactive. It's a little like parking thousands of delivery trucks outside a warehouse with all the loading doors closed. Glucose remains circulating in the bloodstream longer because one of its biggest destinations isn't actively using much fuel. This is where things become really interesting. Researchers have spent decades studying why some populations maintain healthier blood sugar levels despite consuming diets that include carbohydrates similar to those eaten elsewhere. While diet quality certainly matters, scientists began noticing another recurring pattern. In many cultures, people naturally remain active after meals instead of immediately sitting down for extended periods. That observation sparked numerous clinical studies investigating whether gentle movement shortly after eating could influence blood sugar regulation. The results have attracted increasing attention from researchers around the world. Some carefully designed studies have reported that light physical activity performed after meals can substantially reduce the rise in post-meal blood glucose compared with remaining seated. The exact amount varies depending on the study design, the participant's age, overall health, meal composition, exercise intensity, and duration. Some research has observed reductions approaching 50% under specific experimental conditions, while other studies report more modest improvements. This is why it's important to avoid assuming that everyone will experience the exact same result. Biology is wonderfully individual. Even so, the overall scientific message has become increasingly consistent. Moving your body after eating appears to help your muscles remove glucose from the bloodstream more efficiently, sometimes even requiring less insulin to accomplish the job. The surprising part is that the movement doesn't necessarily need to be intense. Many people imagine they must complete a strenuous workout to improve blood sugar, but that's not what much of the current evidence suggests. Instead, researchers are finding that relatively gentle activity performed at the right time may offer meaningful benefits for glucose regulation. Why would something so simple work? The answer lies inside your muscles. Your muscles aren't just responsible for movement, they are also one of the largest storage sites for glucose in your entire body. During physical activity, muscle cells increase their demand for energy. To meet that demand, they begin pulling glucose from the bloodstream more rapidly. Remarkably, some of this process can occur through biological pathways that are less dependent on insulin than when you're resting. In other words, movement gives your muscles another way to absorb circulating glucose. It's almost as if your body opens additional entrances into those cells, allowing blood sugar to be cleared more efficiently while simultaneously providing fuel for the activity you're performing. This elegant biological system is one reason healthcare professionals increasingly encourage regular physical activity as part of a healthy lifestyle. The benefits extend beyond weight management, influencing metabolism, cardiovascular function, and overall healthy aging. But here's the question that researchers wanted answered next, and it's the discovery that surprised even many healthcare professionals. Does the exact timing of movement after a meal matter more than the exercise itself? And if so, what is the ideal window when your body is most responsive? The answer turned out to be more fascinating than many researchers expected. It wasn't simply whether people moved after eating, it was when they moved that often made the biggest difference. Imagine you've just finished dinner. Your digestive system is working efficiently, breaking food into nutrients that begin entering your bloodstream. During the next 30 to 90 minutes, depending on the meal, blood glucose typically begins to rise. This is a completely normal biological response. Your pancreas releases insulin, and your cells begin taking in that glucose for energy or storage. Now picture two different people. The first finishes dinner, sits on the couch, turns on the television, and remains there for the next 2 hours. The second finishes the exact same meal, but spends the next 10 to 20 minutes taking a comfortable walk around the neighborhood or even inside the house. Hours later, although both people ate the same food, their bodies may have handled that glucose very differently. This is where years of metabolic research become especially interesting. Several peer-reviewed clinical studies have found that light walking shortly after meals can reduce the size of the post-meal blood sugar spike compared with prolonged sitting. The improvement varies from study to study, but the overall trend has been remarkably consistent. Instead of allowing glucose to linger in the bloodstream, the active muscles begin using it almost immediately as fuel. Think of your muscles as thousands of tiny rechargeable batteries. When you're sitting still, those batteries are already fairly full. They don't urgently need additional energy. But the moment you begin walking, even at an easy pace, those batteries begin draining slightly. Your body naturally responds by sending glucose into the working muscles to replenish that energy. It's an incredibly efficient system that humans have evolved over thousands of years. But here's what most people don't realize. The muscles don't simply wait for insulin to do all the work. During physical activity, muscle contractions activate additional molecular pathways that help transport glucose from the bloodstream into muscle cells. One of the key players involved is a transporter known as GLUT4. Under normal circumstances, insulin helps move GLUT4 transporters to the surface of muscle cells so glucose can enter. During exercise, however, muscle contractions themselves can stimulate this process. That means your muscles become more effective at clearing glucose while you're moving. For many healthy individuals, this creates a double benefit. Blood sugar rises less dramatically, and the body may not need to produce as much insulin to achieve the same result. Why does that matter? Over many years, repeatedly exposing the body to large blood sugar spikes and consistently high insulin levels may contribute to metabolic problems in some people. Although many factors, including genetics, sleep, diet quality, body weight, and overall physical activity, play important roles, reducing unnecessary glucose spikes is considered one component of maintaining good metabolic health. This doesn't mean every blood sugar increase is harmful, quite the opposite. Temporary rises after eating are a normal part of human physiology. The goal isn't to eliminate them, but to help the body manage them efficiently. The next discovery may completely change how you think about exercise. Many people believe that only intense workouts improve health. If they can't spend an hour at the gym, they assume there's little point in doing anything at all. Modern research paints a different picture. Studies have shown that frequent, moderate movement throughout the day can provide meaningful metabolic benefits. In fact, breaking up long periods of sitting with short bouts of activity may improve blood sugar control more effectively than remaining sedentary all day and then completing a single workout in the evening. That doesn't mean structured exercise isn't valuable. It absolutely is. Regular aerobic activity and strength training remain among the best supported strategies for improving long-term health. but it does suggest that the hours between workouts also matter. Consider a typical office worker. Breakfast is eaten while rushing out the door. Lunch is consumed at a desk. Dinner is followed by several hours on the sofa. Even someone who exercises 3 times a week may spend much of the remaining time sitting. Researchers sometimes refer to this as the active couch potato phenomenon. A person can meet recommended exercise guidelines, yet still accumulate many hours of sedentary behavior. Growing evidence suggests that reducing prolonged sitting may provide additional health benefits beyond scheduled workouts alone. This is why healthcare organizations increasingly encourage people to move regularly throughout the day whenever possible. Now, it's important to keep these findings in perspective. Walking after meals is not a cure for diabetes. It does not replace prescribed medications. It should never be viewed as a substitute for medical advice, individualized nutrition plans, or treatment recommended by your healthcare provider. Instead, think of it as one practical lifestyle habit that may complement an overall healthy routine. The encouraging news is that this approach is accessible to many people. A comfortable walk at a pace where you can still hold a conversation is often sufficient. For individuals who have mobility limitations, even gentle movement while standing, slow marching in place, or simple chair exercises may help increase muscle activity. Of course, anyone with medical conditions affecting balance, heart health, or mobility should speak with their healthcare professional before beginning a new exercise routine. If you're finding this evidence-based health information valuable, consider subscribing to Secrets of Health. Every week, Dr. Richard Ben translates complex medical research into practical advice you can actually use. Now, let's look beyond blood sugar. Researchers began asking another important question. If post-meal movement improves glucose regulation, could it also influence other aspects of health? The answers started revealing unexpected connections involving digestion, inflammation, cardiovascular function, and even how energized people feel during the afternoon. Scientists also began exploring whether different types of meals, high in refined carbohydrates, rich in protein, or balanced with fiber and healthy fats, change how effective post-meal movement might be. Some of those discoveries challenge long-standing assumptions about when we should rest, when we should exercise, and what our bodies actually need after eating. And among them is one finding that has caused many physicians to rethink one of the most common habits people practice every single day, a habit that may be working against their metabolism without them even realizing it. That common habit is surprisingly simple: remaining completely sedentary immediately after eating. For generations, many people have believed that the best thing to do after a meal is to sit down, relax, and let digestion take care of itself. While there's certainly nothing wrong with resting when you need it, modern research suggests that a brief period of gentle movement may actually work with your digestive system rather than against it. But here's what most people don't realize. Digestion is not a passive process. After a meal, your body is coordinating an extraordinary number of biological events at the same time. Your stomach gradually empties food into the small intestine. Digestive enzymes break nutrients into forms your body can absorb. Hormones signal feelings of fullness, while the pancreas carefully adjusts insulin production to match the amount of glucose entering the bloodstream. At the same time, your muscles remain one of the largest consumers of that incoming glucose, if you give them a reason to use it. This helps explain why researchers have become increasingly interested in the relationship between movement, metabolism, and long-term health. One area receiving considerable attention is inflammation. Inflammation is often misunderstood. It's not inherently harmful. In fact, it's one of your body's most important defense mechanisms. When you have an infection or injury, inflammation helps initiate healing. Problems arise when low-grade inflammation persists over months or years, a pattern associated with many chronic conditions, including cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. Scientists are still investigating exactly how repeated large blood sugar spikes may contribute to inflammatory processes. One proposed mechanism involves oxidative stress, a situation in which unstable molecules, known as free radicals, temporarily outnumber the body's antioxidant defenses. Over time, excessive oxidative stress may affect blood vessels and cellular function. It's important to emphasize that this field continues to evolve. Researchers do not suggest that a single high-carbohydrate meal causes lasting harm in an otherwise healthy person. Instead, the concern is about long-term patterns of diet and lifestyle repeated over many years. This is where gentle activity after meals may offer another advantage. By helping muscles use circulating glucose more efficiently, post-meal movement may reduce the intensity of blood sugar spikes, potentially lowering some of the metabolic stress associated with those repeated fluctuations. While ongoing research continues to examine these mechanisms, the overall evidence supports regular physical activity as part of a healthy lifestyle for reducing the risk of many chronic diseases. The surprising part is that the benefits may extend beyond blood sugar alone. Many people report feeling more alert after taking a short walk instead of remaining seated. There are several possible explanations. Gentle movement increases circulation, helping deliver oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. It may also reduce the sluggish feeling that sometimes follows a large meal, especially one high in refined carbohydrates. Have you ever noticed that after eating a heavy lunch, it's suddenly much harder to concentrate? You're certainly not alone. Part of that experience relates to digestion itself, which naturally requires energy. Another factor may be the size and composition of the meal. Meals rich in refined carbohydrates can produce a faster rise in blood glucose, followed by a more noticeable decline as insulin helps bring those levels back toward normal. Not everyone experiences this in the same way, but many people describe feeling sleepy or mentally foggy during that period. A short walk won't eliminate every afternoon slump, but by encouraging a steadier handling of glucose, it may help some individuals feel more energized afterward. Another fascinating area of research involves the gut microbiome. Inside your digestive tract live trillions of microorganisms that help digest certain foods, produce beneficial compounds, and interact with your immune system. Scientists now recognize that these microbes play an important role in overall health, although many details remain under investigation. Regular physical activity appears to support a healthier gut environment, particularly when combined with a balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and other fiber-containing foods. Researchers are still exploring exactly how exercise influences the microbiome, but the relationship between movement and gut health is becoming an exciting field of study. This is where things become especially important for correcting a common misconception. Some people believe they should avoid all carbohydrates to keep blood sugar under control. The science is much more nuanced than that. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. They are an essential source of energy, especially for the brain and working muscles. The real difference often lies in the type of carbohydrate, the portion size, and what it's eaten with. For example, a meal containing whole grains, vegetables, lean protein, healthy fats, and fiber is generally digested more gradually than a meal dominated by refined sugars and highly processed starches. Fiber slows digestion, helping glucose enter the bloodstream at a steadier pace. Protein and healthy fats can also influence how quickly the stomach empties. When you combine those healthy eating patterns with regular physical activity, including a brief walk after meals, you create multiple layers of support for your body's natural glucose-regulating systems. Rather than relying on one magic solution, you're allowing several healthy habits to work together. This broader perspective is exactly what organizations such as the World Health Organization, the CDC, and the NIH consistently encourage. Long-term health is rarely determined by one meal or one day. It's shaped by the choices we repeat over weeks, months, and years. That message can be incredibly empowering. You don't have to become a marathon runner overnight. You don't need to follow extreme diets, and you don't need to achieve perfection. Small, consistent habits often produce meaningful results over time because they are realistic enough to maintain. I'm curious, have you ever noticed how your own body responds after meals? Share your experience in the comments below. Reading real experiences helps build a smarter and healthier community. But before you decide exactly how to put this information into practice, there's one more question we need to answer. How long should you walk? When is the ideal time to start? What if you can't walk at all? And are there situations where post-meal exercise might not be the best choice? The answers are more practical than you might expect, and they could help you turn today's science into a habit that fits naturally into your everyday life. Now let's bring everything together and focus on what you can actually do starting today. If there's one message I hope you take away from this discussion, it's this. Your body is remarkably responsive to small, consistent actions. You don't have to make dramatic lifestyle changes overnight to support healthier blood sugar regulation. In many cases, simple daily habits practiced consistently are far more effective than ambitious plans that are difficult to maintain. The research we've explored points toward one practical strategy that many people can incorporate into their routine: a brief period of gentle movement after eating. So what does that look like in everyday life? For many healthy adults, a comfortable walk lasting about 10 to 20 minutes after a meal is a realistic starting point. You don't need to walk quickly. In fact, a pace where you can comfortably carry on a conversation is often sufficient. The goal isn't to exhaust yourself. The goal is simply to activate your muscles while your body is processing the nutrients you've just eaten. If going outside isn't practical, don't assume you've lost the opportunity. Walking around your home, climbing a few flights of stairs at a comfortable pace if you're able, gardening, light household chores, or even marching gently in place can all increase muscle activity. For individuals with limited mobility, chair-based exercises or guided movements approved by a healthcare professional may also provide benefits. The important principle is reducing prolonged inactivity after meals whenever it's safe and appropriate. But here's another important point. Movement works best when it's part of an overall healthy lifestyle, rather than viewed as a standalone solution. Imagine two different approaches. One person eats highly processed meals throughout the day, sleeps only 5 hours each night, experiences constant stress, rarely exercises, and hopes that one short walk will completely offset those habits. Another person aims for balanced meals rich in vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats, stays physically active most days of the week, gets adequate sleep, manages stress as well as possible, avoids smoking, limits alcohol when appropriate, and also takes a short walk after meals. Which approach is more likely to support long-term health? The answer is clear. Our bodies respond to the combined effects of our daily habits. Nutrition, physical activity, sleep, stress management, and preventive healthcare all work together. Improving just one area is valuable, but improving several areas creates a much stronger foundation for healthy aging. This is one reason respected organizations such as the World Health Organization, the National Institutes of Health, and the American Cancer Society consistently emphasize comprehensive lifestyle approaches rather than single, miracle interventions. Another practical recommendation is to pay attention to your own body. Notice how you feel after different types of meals. Do balanced meals keep your energy steadier than heavily processed ones? Do you feel more alert after taking a short walk? Are there certain foods that leave you unusually tired or hungry again soon afterward? These observations won't replace medical testing, but they can help you become more aware of how your daily choices affect your well-being. If you have diabetes, prediabetes, or another medical condition affecting blood sugar, remember that your situation may be different. Your healthcare provider can help determine the safest exercise timing and intensity based on your medications, overall health, and personal treatment plan. Some medications can increase the risk of low blood sugar during activity, making individualized medical guidance especially important. It's also worth remembering that scientific knowledge continues to grow. Researchers are still studying questions such as whether different meal compositions require different movement strategies, whether resistance exercises offer additional benefits beyond walking, and how age, genetics, and gut microbiome differences influence individual responses. As new evidence emerges, our understanding becomes more refined. That's one of the strengths of science. It doesn't stand still. It continually asks better questions, gathers stronger evidence, and updates recommendations when appropriate. For now, however, one conclusion is becoming increasingly consistent across many well-designed studies. Reducing prolonged sitting after meals and incorporating gentle physical activity appears to be a simple, low-cost habit that can support healthier glucose regulation for many people when practiced safely as part of an overall healthy lifestyle. Sometimes, the most meaningful improvements don't come from complicated solutions. They come from understanding how the human body naturally works, and then choosing habits that support those biological systems instead of fighting against them. A short walk may not seem like much in the moment, but repeated day after day, week after week, and year after year, small actions can add up to meaningful changes. Better blood sugar regulation, improved metabolic health, greater energy, and a healthier future are rarely the result of one perfect decision. They're often the product of hundreds of small, thoughtful choices made consistently over time. Your future health isn't determined by what you do once, it's influenced by what you choose to repeat. If today's discussion encourages you to stand up after your next meal instead of remaining seated, you've already taken an important first step towards supporting your body's remarkable ability to care for itself. If you found today's video helpful, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Secrets of Health so you never miss future evidence-based health insights from Dr. Richard Ben. Thank you so much for spending this time with me here on Secrets of Health. I'm Dr. Richard Ben, and it's truly a privilege to help you better understand the science behind healthier living. I look forward to seeing you in our next evidence-based health discussion. Until then, take good care of yourself, stay curious, and remember that even the smallest healthy habit practiced consistently can make a meaningful difference over time.